So, welcome to tonight's meeting. Do we have any apologies?
Yes, Madam Chairman. I'm substituting for Stephen Jeremiah.
Okay. Any more? Nope. Minutes of the last meeting. I'll propose them as a true and accurate record.
I'll second them.
Okay. All those in favour? That looks unanimous. Declarations of interest. Anybody got? Sorry?
I'll abstain on that.
Oh, yeah, you've got an abstention, sorry. Yeah, any declarations of interest? No. Lovely. Item 4, Liberty Leisure Quarter 2 Performance Report, which is on pages 13 to 20. Would you like to introduce it, Dan?
I will. There we go. Okay, so we'll work our way through. So on page 15, we've got the fitness memberships, which is going well. This was prior to Stapleford opening, so the Stapleford Pavilion is now open. We've got over 100 members now there in the gym, and as of quarter 3, we're actually at 3,495 members. So we've exceeded our target for the end of year already, with our 3 biggest months to come. Slightly helped by the fact that the Stapleford figures weren't included in the target, but we're doing well nonetheless. So membership is going really well. Still, obviously, January tends to be the busiest month from a gym point of view, with New Year's resolutions and the like. And sales have gone well. We're about 10% up on where we were last year in January sales. So it's all going well generally for the gym. Swim lessons, we're a little bit down, but we've partly accounted for that by jigging some of the lessons around, so we're not teaching as many lessons. So we've got less people, so we're not teaching as many lessons. So we're saving on instructors, and it seems to be more of a industry-wide thing at the moment. You never tend to see advertising on swimming lessons, but there's a lot of people advertising for swimming lessons at the moment, as it normally just fills up. But generally, we're a busy scheme, one of the biggest in the area. Probably we've had that from the Swim England. So yeah, it's going well. It's just you always want more, and when we've had more in the past, you always want to get back there. But unfortunately, it's not quite the same. For example, we run classes did run classes on a Saturday evening, but no one wants those classes now, so they were gradually dwindling. We've got rid of them. Meant that those were taught after the centre was actually closed, but that meant that a duty manager had to stay, other people had to stay, so it's not financially viable to keep them running. So those have gone, which has meant we've saved time on duty manager time as well as the swim instructors as well. So it's just been a bit of a rationalisation around that. But still good numbers in totals. And then obviously number 3 is just the total of the memberships across the 2. Attendances were off on target. We are still up on target at the end of quarter 3 as well. So over 200,000 attendances across each quarter, with a target of, I think it was 187,000 per quarter. And then on the finances, it's overall shows a deficit position of 17,500 against an original budget of 57,800. So we're 39,000 better than where we anticipated being at the end of the year. A few savings around staffing, but increases on utilities, and generally up on gym memberships, down on swim, and up overall on the ops membership income, not ops income I should say. Any questions on any of those that I've gone through?
Thank you very much. Thanks for the report. I've got a few questions. So the first question I wanted to ask you about was the actions to grow membership. You talk about continuing recruiting and support volunteers to enable them to become swim teachers. And I know, obviously, I learned to swim at Bramcote Pool, so I know they do the rookie lifeguard thing. I went through all the different ranks of that before. my friend actually works at a private venue. I'm not going to say where, but nearby. And he did a similar thing and did a similar course, and he was paid from the start of the course until now, and he's on quite, I would say, a decent wage. So my only concern would be that if you do just focus on volunteers for that, are you at risk of sort of losing people to private places that are going to be, I'm not going to say we're going to match the wage, but paying for that period of time. Although I do support the rookie lifeguarding thing, I think just to rely on that only is a bit not going to be enough. The second thing I wanted to ask you about, and I've raised this about, I think, two or three times. I don't know if I did it last time, but certainly the time before. You say you want to grow the memberships of the actual people using the facility. My residents in Kimberley don't live near Bramcote. It's quite a trek. Public transport there's dreadful. And actually, if you a lot nearer is Bulwell, Bilborough. Both got council-owned leisure centres. Is there any chance, that you're going to be able to discuss with these people to get to these councils to get to a kind of position where you can have people using those facilities on some, I don't know what it would be, I've not fleshed it out right in front of us, but something along those lines, because people aren't going to necessarily want to go to Bramcote when there's ones nearer, and I don't think it's particularly fair. But that's my two questions for now. Thank you.
I think on the second question, I'll just answer those ones and then we'll come. I think that's more of a question for the council rather than us as the operator. If it was something that the council wanted us to deliver or speak to the other people about, then we can do that. But I think that's more of a council initiative rather than us as an operator to make that decision. But on the first point around the volunteers, predominantly our volunteers are under 16. Okay. So it's people, a lot of it is people doing Duke of Edinburgh. So they start with us, and actually it's a really good funnel for them moving into paid work. So they do the Duke of Edinburgh, they volunteer with us until they turn 16, then they become a level 1 teaching assistant. So they're in the water supporting, which is a paid role, and we then encourage them to take on their level 2, which means they can then be on the outside of the pool teaching the lesson. So actually it's a really good funnel, and we've had people who have done a similar thing but done their lessons with us, learned to swim, become volunteers, then become teachers and become on the books, and we've got people like that now. So it's not we're not volunteer. We're not getting volunteers over 16 instead of paid work. It's an additional thing. Other things we're doing to get staff is the Institute of Swimming deliver training for level 1 and level 2 swim instructors at Bramcote, and so we meet with them during their training to encourage them to apply for a job with us. And they've recently completed a course. We've had a couple of people sign up from there, and actually we're doing quite well for swim instructors at the moment, which is unusual in my time in leisure to actually be doing well for swim instructors.
Thank you
very much. It's my first time here, but having read the report, I wondered if you were actually being rather too optimistic about the membership, the finance and recruitment, largely because going forward, if I understand it correctly, the UK Shared Prosperity Fund giving support to business is being cut to Broxtowe by £390,000 for 25-26 compared to 24-25. And there is no successor to business support funding after March 26 that's been announced. Given that going forward from April, there's going to be increases for the general population in taxation, possibly inflation, and businesses are going to be facing increasing rates and taxation. So I'm just wondering if, your membership has perhaps a bubble in January because everybody eating too much over Christmas, and then the membership will actually fall, and that's what worries me. And I just wonder, where I live in Nuttall, this is quite a long way, to go, and you're going to be relying more on council tax and business rate increases. And the question is, should the people from all over the borough who are paying council tax actually be subsidising this? to the extent that you're doing at the moment? And that's the question that I feel I should put on behalf of the people in Nuttall.
I'll pick that one up just to start with. Just in terms of the subsidy, and again, I think it's something we actually covered this last week at Overview and Scrutiny Committee, because I think we recognise that the level of subsidy, particularly for leisure activities and the services delivered by Liberty Leisure, is actually coming down considerably. I think you can see with the report here, you know, the deficit, the surplus deficit, effectively the management fee that the council pays to Liberty Leisure to run its services is next year is going to be at the lowest level it's ever been. We've gone from a position where I think at the outset 2016 it was best part of £1 million, may have even been slightly over £1 million. You know, next year we've budgeted at 200,000. I think, you know, looking at where we are this year, we've got the budget in this year at 269,000. But again, I think we'll be having conversations to whether Liberty Leisure need to take all that funding this year, and if we can actually put some of that into a reserve, which is what we did last year. So I think we're looking at, you know, from a subsidy perspective across the entire borough, we're in a position now where we are getting the best value that we've ever gotten out of our leisure services and leisure facilities. And actually, in terms of the targets that we set going forward, I think, you know, sort of with exciting news about the Bramcote Leisure Centre with Stapleford coming on stream, with potentially looking at health and wellbeing in Eastwood as well, which is something that's come forward through Cabinet recently. You know, we're looking at a position where we may not be too far away from a point where actually Liberty Leisure, you know, there isn't a management fee paid, and potentially the council will actually start seeing a surplus dividend coming back from that. That's the I won't say it's a dream. That's the anticipation nearly with this, isn't it? So that's positive news in terms of that.
Councillor
Okay. I just wanted to ask, as regards Stapleford, do you have a target? Do you know what that is in terms of membership? Is there like a finite number of people that you can fit into that new facility? And the other question is, due to personal experience, if somebody cancels a membership, do you chase them at all for anything that's outstanding? Because I was never chased, but when I tried to join again, I owed you money. Did you know that? I've paid it now, just like to point that out, and I didn't know, but apparently I owed you.
Yes, normally we do chase that, and it's depending on the timing around it, because we ask for a 30-day notice to cancel. It depends on the timing of someone cancelling. But Margaret, who does the admin side of it, is quite good at chasing people for money. So that's, yeah, we do tend to do that.
Councillor May.
I wanted to ask Martin. Sorry, go on. No, go on. You're right.
Yes, there is a finite number purely because of the size of the space. And if it becomes too busy, that's a nice problem to have in some respects. But it would be 300, I would say, maybe. But it depends on the time of day that people come. Because if it's split throughout the day, you can get more people. But if everyone wants to come in the morning or everyone wants to come in the evening, then you're struggling. But we've got a good way of expanding, a good level to grow yet. And I think the target is to be close to the 250 by the end of next year.
I am hearing good reports back about Hickins Lane, to be fair. So, Councillor May.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Martin a question, if that's all right. So you said about how it's in the best position it's been, which is obviously good. How much of, like, kind of what have you done to achieve that? And also, how much of that is just down to the fact you don't have to pay for Kimberley stuff anymore? Is it, I'm sure it's more than just that, but how much of it is down to that in terms of your comments? If you don't know, it's all right. I can get a written response or whatever, but don't mind.
Through you, Chair. I mean, again, I've probably been down in on this one as well. I mean, I think one of the things, and again, I think speaking, you know, from a council perspective, actually, you know, what's been achieved post Kimberley Leisure Centre, you know, falling off our books has been, you know, has been really impressive. To be fair, you know, I think, you know, when I say we're in the best position in terms of cost, that includes, you know, losing the facility that we had in Kimberley. I mean, again, in terms of how that's been achieved, I think Dan's probably as best placed, because again, in terms of the way you've managed your costs and being efficient, and I suppose what you've said already about the sort of swim schools is just the kind of example that looking at costs, looking at what we're delivering and getting value.
Yeah, absolutely. It's focusing on where we can sensibly save money. I think there's been staffing, particularly, is very well controlled. Obviously, there was a restructure on Kimberley leaving, and we obviously the managing director at the time left, and so we've saved management level. We also we make more money on our gym memberships at Bramker. As a principle, we've implemented price rises in the last few years to keep up with the cost of living increases that we feel as the business. Our insurance came down quite significantly when that was redone. There's been a number of things that have worked in our favour, but then you get things that don't. Where our business rates have gone up, our national insurance, same as everyone else, has gone up. So there's been a number of things. I think income has been the general focus of where we've been making. I think we can't really cut any more now. I think we now need to make more money, which is where we're kind of focused on. And I think ultimately staple food will make a big difference as well, particularly on some of the aspects with the gym and the paddle and that side of it. But it's just been really efficiency, I would say, has been our main focus.
I'm just going to make a point, and I might be wrong on this, but as far as I'm aware, Kimberley Leisure Centre was not owned by this council, the actual building. So did we pay them a rent or a lease or something?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so that will be a save.
That will help. Yeah. Um, so that will help moving forward, hopefully into next year. And in an ideal scenario, we get it in ready for next winter before the clocks change, and then that will make a big difference because then you've just got the security around those bookings. And then the new facility. So we've been meeting regularly with the design team to help bring our leisure element to the new facility at Bramcote. And obviously that went through planning, and hopefully, fingers crossed, in the next couple of months we'll get some movement in terms of the actual build sign. And then growing fitness membership. So membership is going pretty well at the moment, as I said earlier. Got over 100 now at Bramcote. At Stapleford. We introduced a new level of membership, so the current Bramcote members didn't get access automatically to Stapleford, but they can upgrade to what we call a gold membership if they wanted to. And we've got about 30 people have already have taken that out on top of the 100 specifically for Stapleford. So that's going well. Expand exercise referral opportunities. So exercise referral is as busy as it's ever been. It just keeps getting busier, and it's really, really good connections with health. I sit on a couple of different boards within health to help promote those relationships. We're starting a new Parkinson's group in Stapleford Gym. That's starting at the end of the month, with a view to helping people with Parkinson's get stronger, which is we're really excited about seeing how that progresses on the new equipment at Stapleford. But yeah, so it's going really, really well with exercise referral. Always. And a few more, and I'll hand over for any questions. So growing swimming income is something we were talking about this morning, about how we can market that slightly differently. So we've been approached by a magazine that goes out to new mums, I believe. So anyone with children under 5 is what it's targeted at. So that's perfect age for people to start swimming lessons. So we're going to have a bit of an advertiser in that to try and promote that. And then we're talking about how we go to schools, how we measure the impact of our marketing as well, so that we can ensure that what we are doing is having an effect. And if it's not having an effect, then not waste our time doing it next time, so that we can target our needs. And then next one is around gym equipment. So our gym equipment at Bramcote is old. It's 9 years old. Generally, gym equipment has a lifespan of probably 5 to 7 years. So we've been sweating that asset quite a lot. So that needs replacing. That is also in the capital programme for next year. And regardless of the new leisure centre needs to happen. So if for whatever reason the leisure centre didn't happen, that still needs to be replaced. But with it going ahead, the plan is to time it in with the new leisure centre, and we'll do Chilwell at the same time, just to keep everything, the continuity across the sites. But we're getting gradually more issues with it, so it does need doing. And the mix of the equipment needs changing, as generally the focus in gyms is more on strength now, whereas when it was put on, there was a lot more emphasis on cardio machines. So we've got too many treadmills, we've got too many bikes, and we could do with more space for the strength equipment that people really are after at the moment. So that'll be sorted in that process, and we'll go obviously through procurement on that side of it. And then the final point is to manage the reduction in management fee, which is what we're doing. We're trying to save money where we can, make more money where we can, to hopefully cost the council less money, to help provide that new leisure centre at Bramcote. And that's my update.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Yeah, so I was going to ask a question. I'd remembered it was from one of the things you'd said before. It was about the Parkinson's thing they're doing at Stapleford. That sounds fantastic. My gran had Parkinson's, so massively in support of something like that. I know there's obviously not the facility in the north, but there is, of course, the exercise referral scheme you're doing with Greasley Parish Council. Has there been any sort of communications with them, or the other various places you use to get something like that established for the north as well? Because obviously that would be really good.
What we've done at the moment is make all the Parkinson's groups in the area aware of what we are doing. So I know there are some people that are from Greasley area that are keen to come to it. At the moment, we're only doing it in Stapleford because that's the equipment that we're utilising. So it is targeted at using that equipment. So we'll see how that goes initially, and then look at whether there's something else we could do. The equipment lends itself to, because it is purely based on your own fitness. So you will do a strength test and you will lift based on a percentage of your own strength. And it sets the programs for you, and it makes that whole process a lot easier and works really well from a health point of view. I think what would be really interesting is to look at something similar in Eastwood, in the new Eastwood project, if that moves forward, and how we can facilitate that, because it's got that health element in that facility, to really consider how that health offering within that facility would be really important.
Do you target baby clinics? Because I think if you advertise there, you might get more.
For swimming lessons.
Yeah, for swimming lessons. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where we do advertise, but we do, because we do swimming lessons for parent and baby up to 4 as well. So we'll it's definitely one to consider. I'm not sure exactly. I'd have to check with the swimming team on that one.
Thanks. It's all right. Just going to come back on that. Thanks for that as well. I was going to ask you. So you said basically they're going to be doing the. Can you keep me updated on it of where it is? Because I would like to know that, because it's something I'm very passionate about actually. But also on that, can we make sure that it does happen before this potential Eastwood thing's built, because that could be quite a few years away. So it would be good to have it done before then.
Yeah, we can certainly look at what we could do at Greasley, would be the option. We do already run classes in Greasley, but they're not Parkinson specific. We do our cardiac rehab and different ones, so it might be that we could look at doing something over there if we can expand it. Obviously, the gym equipment itself is a significant investment, so that itself probably wouldn't happen, but it's whether we could do something similar, or something at the bottom in a different, similar outcomes but a different way.
Just out of interest, roughly how much do you think the new Bramcote Leisure Centre is going to cost? And where are you going to get the money from?
I'm intending to send a report to Cabinet in March. That we'll have more details in it in terms of the business case and where the funding is going to come from with it. But again, I think like Dan's pointed out tonight, obviously one of the options we're looking at is the way that Liberty Leisure can generate more income. We're looking at VAT as an option, which Dan talked about there. Again, what's holding us back a little bit with the VAT agency matter at the minute is the construction of the new leisure centre, which may impact on partial exemption calculations and the like. But if we can get by that as well, that's another significant sort of potential income that we can utilise. But yeah, watch this space on that one, but it's coming.
Yeah, I think the health and wellbeing advantages of the Parkinson group and others are very worth pursuing, and there is an active group in Eastwood, and I think that could be something we need to perhaps talk to them about, because I think it would help the bid for funding as well.
I think they might have already be aware. I'm not sure. I can't say for certain, but because we did actually apply for funding for this scheme through Parkinson's UK. But got turned down, but we decided to go with it anyway. But it just meant that we couldn't offer free memberships to begin with. It's going to be paid for from the start, but we've got about, I think, 6 or so people that are already keen to get started. So I think it starts this week, the end of this week. It's the first session, so really positive, nice one to be doing.
Are they Stapleford based? Do you know?
I don't know specifically. I suspect. From the conversations I had, I think it's probably a bit of a mix of people travelling in for it as well, because of the type of offer that it is, and there's not so much around. So
There's not
I know that the centre that is what's you call it, the one that's in the city, the big leisure centre. The one at Bilborough, Harvey Haven. Yeah, I know they offer swimming by a single go. You don't have to be a member. Do you do that as well? Oh, right.
Yeah, we do that. Majority probably pay as a membership, but particularly at weekends when you get families swim or something like that, you quite regularly get people just paying as they go. Yeah.
Councillor Brown?
So last time it was purchased, and we've had it for 9 years. If you took it I've had quotes before. We probably will with this tender. Ask for quotes for a lease as well, and so we can look at what is most cost effective, and it depends on your knowledge about the centres and how the longevity of them. But generally, a purchase will work out probably more cost effective as long as you can keep it going for as long as we have. So as long as you can get it for longer than your 5 years, you're probably better off from a financial point of view just purchasing. Obviously, you get different benefits from leasing. As if you lease, you could replace it more often, and so you could keep up with trends a bit better potentially. But we'll look at both when we do the tender, just so that we can then quite look at it and what's most cost effective.
You can get it to last 9 years, the full term.
I think 9 years is done well, and it might be slightly beneficial from reduced use through COVID. So, because obviously we were closed for a while, we had reduced members, reduced number of people in.
Yeah.
So that might have helped us extend it on this occasion. I would expect 7 to 8 years would probably be where we'd be aiming for.
Yeah. Thank you.
It just occurred to me, will you sell the old equipment then? And would you get any money for that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So we sold the. I say we on behalf of the council sold the equipment at Kimberley to the people that I think operated it straight after. I don't know if they're still there, but yeah, we would sell it.
Okay, thanks. I'm just thinking of...
It kind of helps to offset a little bit of the cost of the new.
You could use that in the future.
It depends how much support someone might have, and depends if you want them to be independent, doing their own thing, and how much, and depends on the severity of the condition for the person as well. Yeah, there's a lot of variables, I suppose, and it depends on the person very specifically.
No, it's fine. It's fine. So now item 6 onto the work programme.
I'd just add that in the March meeting, I'll have the Q3 versions of the reports that I've just done, so there'll be the update and business plan update.
Yeah.
I was going to ask a general question. I was just going to ask, like, I know we had discussions before that this was going to be moved into gas. Is that going to still be happening? Like, because is it going to still exist for the next meeting? Or?
As my husband is the chair of gas, I happen to know that it's going back. That suggestion's going back to gas for another review, and then it'll go back to cabinet. So it's not quite been decided yet.
Do you know when gas will have decided on that?
Well, before the next financial year, I would have thought.
I'll second it.